Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's session as we dive into healthy ways to improve our health. My name is Athena McKay, the Executive Director of Flint Innovative Solutions. I have our medical team here in Flint with me today. We also have a special guest for you. So please share this link with your network so that they can also be informed on how to improve their hypertension health. Um, I'm not going to delay. I'm going to bring my panelists up so they can introduce themselves. As they join us, I just want to pause and say thank you to our sponsors. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, via the Greater Flint Health Coalition, has sponsored this event, this cohort. We are able to support our seniors and other community members in Flint to find ways to improve their hypertension, whether it be lowering your sodium intake, making sure that you're moving at least 30 minutes a day, and of course, food is medicine. So, improving the intake of what you actually put into your body. So, let me create some space for my co conspirators today. Nurse Battle, Doc G, Nurse T. And should I share who our special guest is, or should I will wait? They ain't ready for him yet.
All right.
So, ladies, can you share with us just a little bit about yourself for those who may not know who you are, if they've been under a rock for a while and don't know the phenomenal work that you do in community? Share who you are, and then also one nugget of how important food is to our well-being or your well-being.
Hi, everybody. I'll go first. My name is Tarnisa Martin. I'm the patient resource and community advocate for Hurley Medical Center. Food is important because it stabilizes your health.
Thank you, Nurse T.
Okay, I'll go next. Hi, I'm Dr. LaTressa Gordon, Director of Public Health for Michigan United, and how food is important to me. Food is medicine and the source of life.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tanya Battle. I am currently a school nurse. Um, and food is fuel for our bodies.
Thank you so much. And without further ado, let me bring on our special guest, Mr. Quinn. How are you, sir? And please grace the community with a little bit of knowledge about who you are and what you are going to share with them today.
Hi, my name is Quin Shumpert. I've been in the fitness and nutrition industry for a little over 20 years. Personal training, I've owned a few training facilities, and I'm going to talk to you today about how important it is to keep sodium extremely low in your diet in a few ways and a few different um, dishes or fruits and vegetables that can help you do so.
Thank you so much, sir. Let's go ahead and dive in. We have some slides that our medical professionals are going to share. Give me 1 second. All right. Dr. G, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, Tanya, she's going to start off with the first
Okay.
several slides.
I'm going to start. So first, we are going to be talking about reducing our sodium intake today. Next slide, please. And a brief overview of reducing our sodium intake. We're going to talk about some nutrition and sodium and blood pressure facts. We're going to talk about what sodium is, how we can reduce our sodium intake, and meals that are low sodium options, choosing healthier options, and why a low sodium lifestyle works. Next slide, please. Can't see it.
That's just an introduction.
Oh, okay. So our sodium recommended intake for our sodium for the general population, for people that don't have that are not at risk for like heart disease, or that don't have any pre-existing heart or health conditions, the recommended sodium intake is less than 2,300 milligrams per day. For those in the special population who are at risk or who do have conditions such as heart disease or kidney disease, the recommended sodium intake is less than 1,500 milligrams per day. This is an interesting fact. 9 out of 10 Americans consume more than the recommended amount of sodium a day, and they consume about 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day. That's a lot when when the recommended amount is less than 2,300 milligrams. When we take in all that extra sodium, our bodies retain fluid. It makes our heart work harder, and it makes it much more difficult to manage our blood pressure. Next slide, please.
Okay.
And,
Go ahead.
some other factors that could influence our blood pressure when we eat salt: our age, our weight. That's why it's important to maintain a healthy weight. Our race, our gender, health conditions such as diabetes and kidney disease. And this accounts for about half of the US population. So regardless of our health status, it's very important to establish and maintain a healthy nutrition and lifestyle habits to promote health and prevent chronic disease. I'll turn it over to Dr. G.
Okay, next slide. As Tanya mentioned, the things that those things that influence yours when sodium is high, but you also have modifiable factors such you can do as your diet, your exercise, and you can control your food intake. So we'll talk about that. So next slide, please. Okay, so we're talking about reducing sodium intake. Okay, so what is sodium versus salt? So we know sodium is a mineral that the body needs. It helps control your fluid maintenance levels. It binds water and it helps pull it into the bloodstream. It also works on your, I don't know if you ever had like those, like a Charlie horse, that's, magnesium and sodium. So nerve impulses, muscle function, and your body only requires about less than 500 milligrams to properly function. And one of the common sodium sources is table salt or sodium chloride. About 40% of the weight of sodium chloride comes from sodium, and about 90% of Americans, the sodium intake comes from sodium chloride. Next slide, please. So we know that consuming too much sodium or too much salt leads to excess or too much sodium in your bloodstream. So when you have too much sodium in your bloodstream, it equals, like we trying to talk about, that excess fluid, when you get that puffiness, and then it increases like the total blood volume, more blood flowing through your body. It increases your blood pressure, so it makes your heart work harder. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're talking about reducing sodium. So a lot of us think about, when we talk about reducing sodium, we're talking about like the table salt, but we're going to get into further where hidden sodium sources are. So if you look at a visual of salt or sodium, 1/4 teaspoons equal 575 milligrams of sodium. So remember, we just said you only need about 500 to function properly. So a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then 1/2 teaspoon of salt is 1,250 milligrams of sodium. 3/4 teaspoons equals 1,725 milligrams of sodium. So 1 teaspoon equals 2,300 milligrams. So you want to try to consume less than 1,500 milligrams per day. That's less than 3/4 teaspoons of salt. So it doesn't take much to add up when you're using a salt shaker, or you're adding additional sodium to the foods that already have hidden salt factors or natural salt or sodium. And then I'm going to turn it over to Nurse T.
Well, I guess it'd be wise for us to turn the mic on first. So I apologize for that. So we're going to talk about reducing sodium intake and where does salt come from? More than about 70% of sodium that we eat come from processed foods. That's our chips, that's breads, that's condiments like ketchup and mustard, that's cheeses that we love to put on our hamburgers, on our tacos. That's pizza that we like to order on those Friday nights with the children. A lot of canned goods when we're rushing and we don't have time to have fresh vegetables. And baked goods, adding salt to foods that is already have this own salt excess. Next slide, please. What can we do? We can eat more fruits and vegetables, fresh, frozen, no salt added canned vegetables. Rinse canned vegetables and beans to reduce sodium. I mean, not just sprinkle a little bit of water on it, but actually rinse them. I know sometimes we'd be in a rush and we just be sprinkling water because I have done it in the past. So I'm telling on myself. Use fresh poultry, lean meat, and fish instead of processed. Limit sauces, red-made mixes like that spaghetti, and instant products. Use spices to flavor the food instead of just always adding that salt. Ask for no salt when dining out. I know sometimes it tastes bland, but it will help you in the long run. And remember, my word was stabilize. So it is stabilized and help maintain your blood pressure. Read nutritious labels to compare sodium levels. Choose the options that are lowest in sodium. Buy low sodium, reduced sodium, or no salt added when options are available. What does it mean? What does reducing sodium intake mean? It means less than 5 milligrams of sodium per serving and contains no sodium chloride, less than 35% per servings, less than 140 milligrams per servings, at least 25% or less sodium per servings than the usual sodium level of the product. For low calorie and low fat foods that contain at least 50% reduced sodium per servings. Some sample meals. It is great that we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and sometimes a snack, but just having an idea of what that those meals should look like. Breakfast, let's make it exciting. Let's have some whole wheat toast with peanut butter, bananas, blueberries, and a cup of milk. For lunch, you can have a salad with black beans, rinsed, scallions, corn, red peppers, mango, and avocados with a cup of milk. I know a lot of people panicking about salads now, but right. That's another subject. For dinner, some grilled chicken seasoned with rosemary and lemon with brown rice, broccoli, and a cup of milk. Even the lemon, it's not as salty, but it got a little taste that can substitute that salt taste that you may be having.
Okay.
And choosing healthier foods whenever the opportunity presents, whenever you can make that choice and those choices are in front of you. Consider what you're eating for breakfast. A breakfast sandwich with 1 egg, 1 slice of cheddar cheese, and turkey bacon on whole wheat English muffin with a cup of water. I know we mentioned how cheese have salt in it, but when you're looking at this, it's just eaten in moderations as well. Lunch, Greek salad with spinach, tomatoes, cucumbers. Cucumbers is a good source of food. And actually, I know we used to putting salt on it, but like if you sprinkle a little lemon juice on there, it tastes just as good. Low-fat feta cheese and Greek dressings with a cup of water. For dinner, we hit that grilled chicken. Instead of white rice, we can use some brown rice and some steamed broccoli and a cup of milk. As you see, milk is good for you as a healthier food item. It also makes your bones strong. Next slide. Why reducing sodium works? Because it just does. Wherever salt is, water follows. Wherever salt is, fluid builds up. Wherever salt is, pains, cramps, and it leads to hypertension. When we think about why sodium works, it's because it established healthy nutrition and lifestyle habits. It promotes health. It stops you from just automatically picking up that salt shaker and sprinkling it on your food. As I mentioned, it reduces fluid retention, weight management, blood pressure management, and it prevents chronic disease. A lot of the chronic diseases that we are experiencing now is because of the processed foods and some of the things that we mentioned. And for the most part, and for the best part of it, it is what I always say: activating your healthcare power starts with you. It ultimately makes you feel better. It eliminates bloating and weight gain associated with fluid retention. You know how you be up in the day and you walk in and it's hot. You done had a lot of salt. You done had some pop and a whole lot of things. And then later your shoes don't fit the same. And then you got to come home and put your feet up. You won't have to do all of that if you just watch your sodium intake. And it's easier to manage your blood pressure. Next slide. So now we are at the discussion, and I'm going to turn it back over to Athena.
Okay, we still got some more.
Or do we turn it over to her for the discussion part? Or
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, ladies. That was rich and a lot. So first, I want to thank everyone who is viewing us on Facebook and YouTube. I know you may have some questions. That was a lot of information. Nothing that is not something you may or may not have heard before, but drop your questions and comments so that our health team can address them right here live. I want to take a step back to share a little bit of a personal story for me that you touched on. And just talking about how important our health is. My mother had a stroke. And we talk about hypertension and ways that we can be healthy. But some of us are already on the other end of that spectrum. It's not too late to come back to health. So don't think that this is too late for you to have more vitality. When my mom had her stroke, she was working 80 hours a week. I don't know where I get it from, right? She was working at AC Spark Plugs. She was just sitting there talking, and her arm drooped, and then her mouth drooped. And I had no knowledge, like the education that is out nowadays. I wish I would have had that then. But it was the Holy Spirit who was like, your mom's having a stroke. I'm like, what do you mean? I knew what a stroke was, but I never knew what the signs were. Fast forward, we get her to the hospital. And if your mom is anything like my mom, she's like, well, I need my bag first and make sure that you get my other nightgown. I'm like, you need to get to the hospital right now.
Mm-hmm.
Find out she had a she needed a triple bypass and a stroke. And so as it ties into this conversation, they put her on a strict no salt diet. And so we went through physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, all of the things. And they walked us through what this process looks like of cutting out salt. And she was very intentional on what so you can imagine there's a shift from eating chitlins and pork chops and greens and all the things that we love to eat with tons of salt on it to she just cut it off and didn't have anything. And so then she started gradually adding some salt substitutes into her diet, and she got better. She lost a ton of weight. She started feeling better, going through therapy and things of that nature. So I just shared that story with you to let you know, no matter where you are in your health journey, it's not too late to come back to vitality. It takes intentional actions for us to get there. And I said us because I actually, and I'll share a little bit later, I actually said, well, if I'm going to be here for a while, I need to feel better. And I need to look better, not for outside appearance, but I needed to feel it internally. And so there's some things that I did for myself. I'm still waiting for I heard some questions come through, but they didn't come through the chat yet. So Doc G and Nurse T and also Nurse Battle, what are some just personal things that you like to share about? Because y'all looking good these days. I don't know what what y'all got going on, but what y'all doing?
Well, I'll talk about
Decrease our sodium intake.
decrease our sodium take, and I, became a vegetarian about 4 years ago. I had a trainer that's in nutritionist, Mr. Q, that's on here, and my daughter, who's a vegan chef, also helped me. But also using tying into like that solution focus, the success steps. Just concentrate on what is one thing that you can do, eating one extra serving of vegetables, or choosing one way to cut your salt down, and then replacing it a week, just that solution, and then having someone that supports you.
Yeah.
And moving your body. I had to move this body. I had to move it.
Yeah. I'm a little stubborn. One thing that comes to mind to me is I had to have a mindset shift.
Mm-hmm.
I had to tell myself that I eat to live. I don't live to eat, but I like really good food, and I don't like a lot of fruits and vegetables. But I grew up like eating watermelon, oranges, grapefruits, and I would put salt on them because it added that extra flavor of taste. And then too, about a couple of years ago, I had a blood pressure scare. And so being a nurse out in the community, educating on hypertension, and then you get diagnosed with hypertension, I was in denial for a long time. But then I had to come to the reality that I have to be about what I'm teaching, and that the same information that I'm releasing is the same information that can impact me. So it's a challenge because I don't like a lot of things, but I like how salt tastes. But the one thing that I will not do is add additional salt. And sometimes I'll reduce how I cook. So it's a process, strength training, getting to the gym. And I would say that mindset shift.
And for me, I don't add a lot of salt. I don't add any extra like salt to my food, but I was just intentional about being more mindful about what I was eating, and portion control, and quit going to the restaurants because they have a lot of they cook with a lot of salt.
Yes, they do.
So,
Well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate that. I am going to bring in our nutritionist into this conversation. I shared just a tad bit about um, my personal journey. I actually paid out of my pocket. My insurance didn't cover it. And I said, there's things that my grandmother lived to be 94. Her sister lived to be 103. And I'm not even halfway there. So if I'm going to live long, I want to be able to move and feel good. So this dude right here, the one on the screen, y'all, Doc G said, oh, I got somebody for you. And so she recommended Mr. Quin Shumpert. And he's a beast, but he's wise and kind, and it met me where I was to get me to the next level. So Q, take it away. Share how we can improve our health.
Well, a lot of people tend to make the choices when it comes to your health more difficult than they have to be. When it comes to watching your sodium or dealing with hypertension, it's simple. It can be simple. A lot of the foods that were named earlier by the ladies on the panel, if you stay away from canned foods, frozen foods, that's where a lot of the high sodium foods are. Your vegetables, your meats, anything canned is going to have a high level of sodium in it to preserve it. Depending on what you choose that's boxed, the same thing. Sodium is used to preserve food, give it more shelf life. So if you stay more towards the fresh section, if you have to consume canned goods, make sure you rinse them. Make sure they're rinsed. I know a lot of you, when it comes to cooking, you want your food to taste good. There are some healthier alternatives to making your food taste good. Mrs. Dash is a great seasoning. Like, I use Mrs. Dash on everything. And there are a ton of different types of Mrs. Dashes that you can use. So it's the small stuff. You don't have to overthink it when it comes to your health and your nutrition. You don't have to overthink it. It's just making the small adjustments, drinking 4 to 8 bottles of water a day, depending on your body weight. And like I said, making sure that you stay away from processed foods, processed, packaged, and frozen foods as much as possible, and stay fresh.
You make it sound so easy.
It is. It really is. I mean, a lot of people overthinking it. And once, like I said, once you cut out all of the extra, like, well, can I have green? I can eat green beans, but then most people go to canned goods and they get their green beans that are in the canned goods section versus going to get fresh green beans. But if you're going to go in the canned goods section and get green beans, make sure you rinse them thoroughly to get that sodium off. But to avoid all of that, you just go fresh, and then you don't have to worry about it. You just stay away from canned goods, stay away from frozen foods, and be mindful of reading the labels, nutritional facts on the back of everything that you purchase. You read those labels, it'll tell you, but you have to also pay attention to serving size. It may say this has 150 milligrams of sodium per serving, but it may be 10 servings in whatever it is you're looking at. And you eat the whole thing. Now that 150 is times 10 versus you thinking it's only 150. So be mindful of that also. The serving sizes, how many servings are in whatever it is you want to consume. That label will be your Bible for maintaining your health and monitoring what you intake.
And Q, the other thing that you had brought up, and I was on that journey too, is sugar.
Oh man. Sugar is a huge downfall to building lean muscle. It destroys muscle. It doesn't build. And it's a lot of sugar in processed foods. Processed sugars. They're natural sugars. I mean, you have your natural sugars that come in your fruits. You can get that same sugar rush. There's a difference between processed sugar and natural sugar. The body breaks down natural sugar a lot easier than processed sugar, but you still have to be mindful because sugar is still sugar. So you have to be mindful of the type of fruits that you eat. For people with high blood pressure, you want to stay more towards the potassium side with bananas, and you want more berries, blueberries versus pineapple or those high sugary grapes, things of that nature that are really, really sweet. It's still a lot of sugar that you're intaking. So that messes with your metabolism and metabolizing sodium.
Thank you. Did you want me to pull up your slide really quick?
Sure. Okay, so this is one of my meal plans. It's pretty simple. Eating at least 5 to 6 times a day. You should eat at least 5 to 6 times a day, small portions. Eating within the first hour you waking up, and having a 2-hour window between your last meal and going to sleep. So if you eat every 2 to 3 hours, so say you get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you get up at 8, eat between 8 and 9, have a decent breakfast. Here, I can't really see exactly what that says. But for breakfast, you would have a protein, pick your protein source, which is broken into categories. Your vegetables are broken into categories. Leafy greens, you eat as much leafy greens as you want. Also, you have your fruits, your complex carbs. Like I said, every 2 to 3 hours. The important part, I mean, a lot of people say that's a lot of time to eat. Eating every 2 to 3 hours is a lot, but it's small portions. The portion sizes aren't large. So your protein is 0 to 6 ounces of protein. The vegetable and fruits is 1 cup or 2 cups of leafy greens. And then the water consumption, once again, is something that's very important when it comes to nutrition and losing weight and not retaining water. You want to make sure that you ingest enough water. That way your body is not holding on to it and is displacing it. So depending on your size, the average adult should drink about 6 bottles of water. If you're over 200 pounds, you should be closer to 8 bottles of water. 8 bottles of water, 8 bottles. Yeah, 8 bottles of water. If you are under 200 pounds, but you're very active and you sweat a lot, then you still want to get closer towards the eight bottles of water a day. Children, typically 4 to 6 bottles of water. Each bottle of water is considered 2 glasses, 2 8-ounce glasses. So if you want to break that down, 8 bottles of water is roughly a gallon of water a day. A child should have about a half a gallon. A full-size female adult should have roughly 6 to 8 bottles of water a day. And a large male or a full-size grown man should be about 8 bottles of water a day.
I dropped it down because I could hear my senior saying, and you actually said it, I can't see that. So I made it a little bigger. Could you walk through this a little bit again, please?
All right, so breakfast. You have your breakfast at 8 o'clock. Breakfast has your protein choice, your complex carb, and your fruit. And then 2 hours, it's 2 to 3 hours, but she tailored this to herself. So she had her schedule at 2 hours and 15 minutes. So at 2 hours and 15 minutes, you'd have a snack, which would be roughly around 10 o'clock. Your snack, could you slide to the snack portion? Keep going. All right. So your snacks will be basically fruit. Yeah, your fruit choices. You can do plain yogurt or Greek yogurt, and then hummus, nuts. Definitely not sugared or salted. Almonds are the best nut to consume. Cashews are not. I know a lot of people like cashews. Cashews are extremely high in fat. Those are very fatty. And then another thing that's also very important: staying away from processed foods, alcohol, and pop, white flour, fried foods, and candy. Those things, all 6 of those things kill weight loss. They kill weight loss. They drive your sugar, your insulin, your sugar intake up, as well as help you retain water and boost up your sodium. So staying away from those things are very important when you are on this fitness or health journey when it comes to losing weight and building muscle and lowering your sodium intake. Now back to the top to where we're talking about as far as how often. Like I said, after your snack, you'd have lunch. Midday will be a protein, complex carb, and a vegetable. And then another snack again around right before you typically would get off of work. And then dinner again when you get home. That'd be your protein complex and a vegetable. If you are up late, like I said, if you are up late and you stay up late, you can have another snack, a third snack. You always want to eat up until 2 hours before you go to sleep. You never want to starve yourself. If you're hungry, that means that your portion sizes are too small, but you never want to overeat. So overeating is just as bad as undereating. So if you're eating according to the portion sizes, you should roughly be hungry every 2 to 3 hours. Like I said, that kickstarts your metabolism. It keeps that metabolism firing and making sure that you're burning instead of storing. A lot of people don't understand the breakfast stands for the break of fasting, which happens when you sleep. You're fasting when you sleep and when you get up in the morning. And that's why it's important to eat within that first hour of you waking up, because you break that fast and starts that metabolism firing. Because I know a lot of you have got up in the morning, went about your day, didn't eat breakfast, and almost went all day without eating because your body is still fasting. You haven't broke that fast. But if you get in the habit of eating within that first hour of you waking up, you get that metabolism firing and get that body accustomed to burning fat versus storing.
I'm gonna jump in right here because what you just said was revolutionary to me. I undereat. I did undereat until I got this education. I'm busy, I'm moving, I'm running and going from Zoom to Zoom or whatever it is I'm doing. And so I knew I wasn't getting enough water, but I thought just snacking. I'm eating fruits, vegetables, or nuts. So it's not bad food per se. But can you just explain again how it was that I lost 12 inches and over 15 pounds by eating more?
A lot of people think eating less, you lose weight, or not, or barely eating, even once a day, you lose weight. Our body needs protein, complex carbs, fruits, vegetables. Those are things that your body needs. It needs sodium. It needs fats. It needs sugar. Those things, calories, those are things that your body needs in order to function properly. So by depriving your body of the things that it needs to function properly, it goes into a protective mode. So whenever it gets any of that in, it holds on to it and stores it in your fat cells. That's why you don't lose weight, and that's why you actually seem to gain weight, or you can't manage your weight, because your body is pretty much being in protective mode, holding on to all the bad things that the body would normally burn if it got it in on a regular basis, because it doesn't know when it's getting its next meal. So by eating on a regular schedule every 2 to 3 hours, the body, you're training your body, you're training your metabolism to fire and work the way that it's supposed to. That way it's not storing and it's burning and sending everything where it needs to go. And then the weight will fall off.
Thank you for explaining that. I'm going to bring the rest of our health team in. Oh, first, is there anything else you wanted to share really quick? Maybe how important physical activity is too.
Physical activity is very important as well. Physical activity and nutrition go hand in hand. You don't have to be extremely active, but you do need to get that heart rate up, whether it's going for a walk daily or going for a jog or doing some form of exercising at home. It could be something as simple as just walking up and down the stairs a couple times and sitting down and standing up in your seat, doing 3 or 4 sets of 10 or 20. You have to stay moving. You have to keep that body moving. And by keeping that body moving, you burn calories. You burn calories all the time anyway, but you need those active calories. And that's what helps with getting that weight off and staying healthier.
Thank you so much. Let me bring our health team back in. There is a question in the queue. Not that queue. The in the the question was frozen food. So you mentioned Q, that frozen food is a bad or is cautionary?
It's cautionary because once again, this is frozen. Just freezing food by itself doesn't preserve it. Just freezing. So there has to be some form of sodium added to that food in order to preserve it and keep it on the shelf when it's packaged. So a piece of chicken that you get off of the fresh food section versus a piece of chicken that's in the frozen food section is going to have a higher sodium count than the fresh, just because of the shelf life that comes along with it. So even still with that, you still want to, like I said, check that nutritional facts, because they do have some frozen low sodium options, but if you don't check, you don't know.
Anyone else want to chime in on that?
I was going to say that as well, like with the frozen foods, making sure that you are picking the ones that are lower in sodium, and even with the canned vegetables, making sure you're picking fruits and vegetables that's lower sodium, no added salt. And then sometimes even with the vegetables, the ones that's packed in 100% water versus syrup. But the one thing that I was thinking about is when we were sharing is that when we think about eating healthy, and then we also have to think about the affordability. And we also have to think about our community and making sure that they can make wise choices with what they have that's available. Like when you are going to the store and you have finances or you have limited finances and you can buy water versus pop, buy the water. Because a lot of times, even when we do a lot of food distribution, some foods have foods that's high in sodium that they're giving away to the community. So I know sometimes, community may say, yeah, it's easy. And just being honest, it's easier or easy for them to say it. It's easy for me to say, eat healthy, drink 6 to 8 glasses of water, bottled water, because I have an income that can afford that. But what about the people that don't have that income that can afford that? How can we help them be nutritious as well and be mindful in spite of their circumstances? Just, empowering them to just pick the better choice option that they can.
I know the farmers market have like the double up bucks sometimes if you know that you have like SNAP benefits. So like I said, making those wise choices with what resources that you have. I know a lot of times you might just be near a party store, but when you go there, they do have some fresh fruits there. So just picking the lesser evil, as they say.
I mean, preparing your own food is actually a lot cheaper than
Yeah.
going out. I mean, if you prepare your own food, fresh for that matter, whether it's a salad or you're doing ground turkey or ground chicken or something like that. I mean, prepping your food is a safer and more efficient way to um, make sure that you are holding yourself accountable for the amount of sodium or being able to keep track of the type of food that you're intaking. Just eating on the fly is so easy to make mistakes and not be prepared for meals from day to day.
And then when you do go to the restaurant, ask them to prepare your food with no sodium. Like sometimes people might go through McDonald's, I don't know who, we get some French fries, and you tell them, give me some no salt fries. So you got to make these, you don't need the fries. What I'm saying is, but that extra sodium is in itself. But when you go to a restaurant, even if you're getting the steak or you're getting like the mashed potatoes, just tell them that I need no butter, no salt, put my sauce on the side. And then that way you can control the intake, like you say, at those options. But if at home, it's the best bet because you know what you're getting in there. But if you do go out, you can ask for your meal to be prepared a certain way, like if you have allergies or decrease the sodium intake as well.
Most dining restaurants have healthy choice menus, healthy choice options on the menu as well.
That's true.
Thank you so much. We have a couple of more handouts that I want to go over. Due to being, there's a question in the chat. Could you expound a little bit more?
I don't see it. Are you talking to me?
No, it's asked a question about.
It's for Ray in the background. So someone said due to her being, Ray, can you come off mute real quick and just share the question?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, they were saying what is easy substitute veggies that doesn't take a long time, opposed to like frozen veggies.
Spinach.
So I'm biased. I have a garden. I'm want to plug that to everyone. It's one of the best sources. It's cheap. You can make your garden whatever it is that you cook. So I'm not a big tomato person, but I love banana peppers. I have kale. I have watermelon and cucumber are some of my staples. Also, collards and okra. So
Okra's my favorite.
so those things all have benefits. It's you get a large amount for a small investment. You just have to keep watering it. I know everybody is not a gardener yet. Let me preference that. But as Doc G mentioned, we have a farmer's market. And as Q mentioned, spinach, avocado is high in is a protein.
Fat.
Fat.
So
Fat. Yeah.
Fat.
let me stay over here. And then so what are some other things that are kind of like,
I mean, a quick salad. I mean, you can make a cheap 2-day salad for under $10. Get you a bag of spinach. Get yes. Get you a bag of spinach. Get you 2 cucumbers and 2 tomatoes.
Okay.
And cut those up, and that can last you 2 days.
Okay. Yes, we're just saying for disclaimer because of the cyclosporidium parasite that's out right now. So
spinach.
They don't know that's not spinach, but they're saying veg and lettuce, but they don't know the source of just yet. So all fresh fruits and vegetables, we recommend that you wash them thoroughly, even though that might not totally eradicate it. But that's kind of, we still need to get our vegetable intake, but we just have to be safe while we're doing it.
Liquid vegetables at Dale's, they got liquid vegetables. It's called a liquid vegetable. It's called liquid vegetable.
Okay.
They sell it at Dale's. You can drink that. You take a shot of that a day, and you get your daily dose of fruits and vegetables in a shot. It doesn't taste the best, but it's really good though.
Ray, is there any other questions in the room that they wanted to echo? And as Ray is posing the audience, Doc G, can you speak a little bit more? I know MDHHS submitted some prevention measures for the I don't want to call it outbreak, but for the
Okay. Oh, well, currently they don't know what the source of it is, but they did say like the snow peas, bag lettuce, berries, and this parasite, it comes from fecal matter. So it's not transmitted person to person. You have to consume it by eating some contaminated food or drinking contaminated water. The incubation period is 2 to 14 days. You have to, some of the signs and symptoms of like are explosive diarrhea, stomach cramping, nausea, some vomiting, bloating, and it has to be taken, antibiotic has to be taken. So if you have this extreme, like the big thing is dehydration, especially for our children or elderly or anybody that's immunocompromised. So you want to make sure if you have these symptoms and you have the explosive diarrhea and you're not able to keep fluids down, that you be seen by your medical provider, because the only way to take care of it is through an antibiotic. And Darcy, you have anything to add to it?
No, you said about everything. But we have had some confirmed cases, and we are seeing patients that's coming in reporting that. So just be careful and mindful.
Yes.
Make sure you're rinsing everything thoroughly, and going back to I know washing your hands really well and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got a couple of slides and informational sheets that we want to go over and some announcements. So did you have who was going to share this part?
Okay. Physical activity and blood pressure management. Then next slide. Okay. So we kind of talked about that with our expert Q on there, talking about moving your body. Best evidence-based practice shows that physical activity can also help reduce your blood pressure, improve your cardiovascular health risk. As he stated, moderate physical activity has also shown to decrease blood pressure in patients that have high blood pressure who are less responsive to medical treatment. So basically it's stating that it's a combination, as Nurse T, Tanya, has also stated that, combining your dietary measures, activity, and lowering the sodium, it all works together. Healthy dietary patterns will couple with at least 150 minutes of moderate physical activities per week can help boost your energy. Physical activity can also help keep your weight down, lower your blood pressure. Physical activity guidelines for Americans recommend at least 2 hours and 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise, such as brisk walking, cycling, and if you have any type of restrictions, like Q said, up and down, swimming can also be good for you. Do you have any other recommendations, Q, for activities?
I pretty much, I mean, anything other than sitting on the couch, to be honest. Anything other than sitting on the couch will work. It's better than sitting on the couch. So if you just get up and walk around your house, I mean, putting groceries away, doing laundry, doing daily activities in the home, I mean, those things that keep you active and keep you from falling into some of those vicious cycles that come with not doing any activity. So just trying to stay active. Yard work, I mean, just things like that in itself can be beneficial.
Yeah, because I know, like, say for me, like I suffered a couple of injuries and surgeries on this knee, so like people are like mobility issues. So like like sitting in a chair aerobics. I know they got some chair Taibo. I've done that, sitting down and doing some Billy Blanks. Those are kind of
Yeah.
Hey, it works. Yeah.
It does. Just stay active. Just try to
Yeah.
be active and not be um, I don't want to say couch potato, but yes, don't be a couch potato.
Okay.
And be consistent. I'll add that too.
That part. Yes.
Because I know for me personally, I'll get this boost of energy and then I overdo it and my knee will be like, what you doing? Sit down somewhere. And so having to be intentional, do it in moderation so that I can be consistent at least 3 days a week, um, at minimum. Um, I do want to share in our last few minutes, for everyone who is part of the IHHI cohort currently, in your food boxes, you received 3 or 4 sheets. Um, this is information on choosing food with low sodium, and I also want to echo what Q mentioned. Is I thought I was doing great with some of the protein supplements because I knew I needed more protein. And reading that label is like, no, that's not a good one because it had other things. It had different types of sugars, and so just be very cautious and intentional when you invest. And as Nurse T mentioned, like this stuff is not cheap. Those protein supplements, the what you said, vegetables in the bottle, I can imagine how much that costs. And so I'm going to advocate one more time. If it's in your backyard, you actually that's the quickest and one of the least expensive ways. um so this sorry. So again, Q, you want to go over this really quick in like a have 30 seconds? Just
All right. Few things that you want to pay attention to. Calories. Actually, start from the very top where it says 2 servings per container. That's very important that you read right under the nutritional fact label. It tells you exactly how many servings it is in the container. And then each under the label where it says serving size, it tells you how much your serving size is. For this, it says a half a block. And you come down and you see your calories. So now you know that one serving of these noodles has 7 grams of fat, 710 milligrams of sodium. That's only one serving. But if you ate both servings, then that puts you at 1,420 milligrams of sodium. So, like I said, be very mindful of what the serving size is, and then either doubling or tripling or whatever the amount you consume. But like I said, paying attention to your fat, sodium, your protein intake, and then your sugar are the key things that you want to look at when choosing something by looking at the nutritional facts. Those things, you make sure that those four things are low, and you're on a good start.
This information was also, again, there are the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has more information on nutritional fact, reading those nutritional fact labels, and some information on how to use and choose healthy foods. The other thing that I want to mention is Nurse T mentioned it about what you're adding onto it. So you may get a chicken breast, but once you put the mayonnaise on there and the mustard and all of the things, you have just tripled your intake of either salt or especially sugar. So be conscious of what you put on, because food is what, y'all?
Medicine.
We're wrapping up. I have a huge community announcement, but is there anything that you all want to share in our closing minutes?
Stay consistent.
Small changes.
It's a journey, not a marathon.
You're muted.
That comment that's in the chat that's saying being out of breath and legs hurting, please, if that continues, make sure that you follow up with your physician, your healthcare provider.
All right. So, as you all may know, I'm going to scoot y'all over just a bit. As y'all may know, the Flint East app is our flagship project, and we are about to, let me get over here. Here we go. We are about to do a launch party. So the Flint East app 3.0 is coming to an app to a phone near you. It is available in Android and an iPhone. So we will be doing a launch party on August 29th at the North Flint Food Market. August 29th from 11 to 5. It is going to be a huge, huge endeavor where we have music, we have a DJ, we'll have food, access to the food market, raffles. We're looking at some vouchers to buy your groceries, bounce houses for the kids, and perfectly our health team here will be there with blood pressure, as well as other community advocates and service providers. So this is, we're so excited to be able to announce this, where you can add tips, deals, recipe to right onto your phone and get that information from other community members. So we're at time. I want to thank you so much for even taking the time out to hear and to invest in your future and taking those things, because food is medicine and we are who we need to make the next step. So join us again next month, which is in August, on the second Monday, where we'll have more information from our medical team, as well as a possible special guest. Thank you so much, Q, Nurse T, Nurse Battle, and Doc G for joining us, and for you taking the time out to invest in your future. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Have a
Great
good
conversation. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.
Good night.
Oh.